so right now I am just wiping off the kind of the fluid from the cryovac bag. Again, it's not blood like a lot of people think, but it's also not anything that I want to have on there. It's just a protein, nothing wrong with it, but I like to get the meat dry so that way I control everything that goes on it, and then I'll start trimming it up. First thing I'm going to do is look it over, figure out the stuff that I want to keep, the stuff I want to throw away as far as the fat and the trimmings. This has got a lot of fat on it, so there's going to be a good bit that I take off, particularly on this side where you see this really hard fat, so that's not going to render out, so I'm going to take that out. I'll take out this little vein that was left behind. You don't want that. I'll take off some of this discolored meat, and then some of the hard fat on this side as well. But because of the type of event that I'm cooking this for, I'm not going to trim a whole lot off. I'm going to leave as much of it whole as I can. So I want to give them as much as I possibly can. So like all that stuff come off. I'll probably render some of this down, make beef tallow out of it. And that stuff I don't want to keep. Every brisket's going to be different, so if you see in here, all that fat, that's all hard fat. None of that's going to really render out. All right, so some of that I'll cut out and try to get rid of it, because again, that's just going to sit there the whole time, the whole cook. Now it won't be very good. Pay you as much as I pay him,
which is
maybe
nothing.
More.
Which is nothing.
Thank you. Thank you. Finally, somebody that cares about me. You know what I mean? I do think that on some of those videos from the Rib Fest that people enjoyed our little banter back and forth.
Probably.
Probably because they knew you were wrong, but that's all right. I'm just gonna shape this up a little bit, so there's nothing wrong with this meat. I'll keep it. I'll use it for like burgers or something like that, but I like to shape the meat. That stuff I'm not gonna keep. I shape it up because one, it gives it a nicer presentation when it's done, and two, there will be some folks that will tell you that it cooks better if it's more aerodynamic, right? So as the heat and the smoke flow across the meat, if it's more aerodynamic, then some folks will tell you it cooks better. I'm not gonna say whether it does or doesn't. I say figure out on your own smoker. See if it works for you. If it doesn't, then who cares? I'm gonna kind of run my finger to find where that separation is, so I'm not cutting off too much of the meat, but I want to get that hard fat out of there. And then I want to get all this kind of like grizzly looking out of there, because he really wants to see that. Shape this. And unlike in South Carolina at the Rib Fest, I did sharpen my knife before I started cooking. So that stuff I can still use. Again, if I was doing this like for my house or for friends, like those monitoring the camera here, I would leave that on there, but I'm not going to leave it on there today. There we go. side in a minute. So all this stuff, like I don't like to leave that on there, right? So I'm gonna take that off. If you see this layer of fat here, that's really, really thick. So we're gonna take that down to about 1/4 of an inch of fat remaining. And then it'll be kind of similar. You can see the vein of fat that separates the point here and the flat here. All right, so we'll dig some of that out a little bit and kind of shape this tomahawk off. It all, but it just won't be like in this final slice presentation of the brisket. You can kind of see where there was a vein, maybe an issue or something like that. Again, nothing wrong with the meat, but you don't want to leave that in there and have folks eat it. The other problem, well, one thing to keep in mind is you can see, come around this way, you can see the thickness variation from on the point, or excuse me, on the flat, right? So this, if I left this on here, it's actually going to burn by the time this part and the rest of it's done cooking. So I will shave that off. I'll cut that, round that off a little bit like this to make this end a little closer in size, thickness to this one. Because again, that's so thin that it'll burn long before this is done. But we'll get to that in a minute. So I kind of take my time when I trim this top up here, or the fat on the top, because while it might look like there's an even seam of fat, even layer of fat, there's not. Like, it's really thick here and then it gets really thin, and you can see there's no fat there. That's already been removed. So I take my time, gives me multiple cuts. If you go into the meat, okay, that's all right. Just don't keep doing it. Now, what portion of that fat? You know, keep roughly 4-inch layer. Kind of mess up with my face, that's all right. Doesn't have to be perfect. It still looks good. So that loose fat, when you get rid of this, you can think there's like wrong with it, but I just don't find it good. This part is also so like the tomahawk or the tomahawk, if you will, of the brisket. So a lot of fat in here, but at some point, we'll need something on this, so waste too much meat. So this brisket started out at just over 18 pounds. I'm guessing it's going to be 14 pounds after I'm trimming it. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. We'll see. You can get them pre-trimmed, or you can actually trim, but I think it's best to do it yourself. One, you can save this stuff if you trim out, so you're not throwing waste. And then you can kind of control from there. This little bit here. I'm just going to kind of clean this up a bit. Earlier that I'm going to cut off so that way it doesn't burn. You can kind of see like a natural like a slope there. I'm going to take it right about here. Again, you don't have to do it, but it's going to provide a better product at the end, and I'll keep all that and use it in other ways. I'm just going to take off this pointed corner. Again, I do like a rounded surface. I'll buy into the aerodynamic theory. It makes sense to me, so I'll buy into it. All right, now I'm just going to go through and kind of spot check some certain areas, figure out things that either I don't want or that I missed. But I could very easily be done trimming this, season this up, and get it on the smoker. I don't know how to do it. Not yet, at least. So So I'm just using the olive oil as a binder. I'll start with some salt. Again, my dry rub is pretty low sodium on purpose. So I just put a little extra salt. Then kind of large grain black pepper. This helps form the crust and the bark on the outside. And then the Memphis dry rub. You don't need it. Ace, would you mind opening that? Alright, I'll get this one going. Put it right there. We're at about 250 degrees. This will probably take a good 12 to 16 hours. I'll get a temperature probe in there in a little bit and keep working on the others.